Hi everybody, welcome back to the painting channel. Today I'm going to be doing yet another snow scene. I make no apologies, I really enjoy doing snow scenes. But before we do that, let me wish each and every one of you a very happy new year. So let's roll that intro, let's see how we get on. Hi everybody, welcome back. As I said at the start, I wish each and every one of you a very happy new year. Now, I am going to be doing a snow scene today. I make no apology for doing yet another one. I really enjoy that process, and I'm sure you're going to get something from it to move on with your own painting. So without further ado, let's dive straight in. Hi everybody, well this drawing is going to be kept fairly simple. I think as much as I want a very loose and a very quick watercolor, I also wanted a very simple drawing. What you just seen me do is give you an indication that I've got a large object to the right hand side, quite tall in the picture, and I'm plotting an imaginary line going downwards to the ground, forming a bit of a triangle really, and it comes down through a distant bush in the back or a distant tree into what will be the scrubby bits of reeds in the left hand side of the picture. But it creates a nice dynamic, and it's a good compositional tool to have that lovely L shape in design when you are completing it. The only other elements of the drawing I've got are the horizon lines and the distant trees, and that's all I'm making sure. For my brushes, as usual, it's the red dot brushes from Rosemary and Company. All the details on how you can help me with an affiliate link are all in the description, details underneath this and other videos. I wet the paper right the way down to the horizon line, no further. You can go into the tree line, but don't go any further. I've used a combination of indigos and some violet colors, a bit of blue in terms of ultramarine, and a little bit of phthalo and cobalt coming into it as well. But I wanted to create a division between the grey clouds, a little bit of blue sky popping through, and some whiteness in the clouds. Now it's very random, and that wet on the paper allows the paint to start to merge and mingle with each other. I'm coming in with a bit of a darker color now, which supports the clouds, a little bit of deepness coming in there, but all the time the wetness in the paper is allowing that paint to flow. Where I've left white paper, I haven't rushed back in to deal with that. Quite happy to leave it. Coming in with a bit of a supporting greyish colour, slaty blue, a little bit of indigo and a little bit of magenta coming in just to take it down. I turned the paper upside down to allow that to flow backwards for a short while before I continued. What I'm doing now is a bit of Indian yellow and translucent orange in such a weak color. Honestly, there's more water than paint in there, but I just wanted to tint the remaining white paper to give a warm glow to the snow. Once it's dried, it's going to be a lot paler than that, but allow it to dry before you start coming in, and I have done that at this point. Now I'm going to come in with some blues. The first initial look at blues, I've got different blues. I've got mainly cobalt and the phthalo blue that are coming here to make the shadow areas of the snow. This is very preliminary, and I'm going to go up into the sky. Why? Because I wanted to suggest a little bit of snowy colors on that tree that's going to go right there. Took some away, but just left a hint of it. So when I leave some of the tree there, some of that will appear a little bit blue through there. But I continue to use the blue colors, a little bit more ultramarine coming in now, to suggest directional flow, to suggest where that ditch is running. And I also lifted some out with a bit of clean paper towel just to blot it off a little bit and give that subtle division between a pale blue and almost the white paper. I now come in with a bit of a deeper blue, a little bit of indigo coming into the mix to darken it as it goes away from us. And I'm mixing the first of the warm colors, and so far the painting is predominantly all cool or cold, apart from the snow color itself. So applying this lovely warm color and the start of this big tree, I changed to a squirrel dagger. Now it's very floppy. Squirrel hair is very weak hair. Only when it's wet will it actually support its shape. But other than that, it just splits and goes everywhere. But you can create some amazing marks with it. You could also do the same thing with a rigger, and I will change to a rigger later on this application, just to show you how you can use both brushes, so you don't have to rush out and buy an extra brush. But I just happen to have this one, and I love playing with this one because, as I say, you can create some real big scribbles in watercolor. I used a blue or a darker indigo color now, which was a bit of brown in there as well, a little bit of the orange in there to darken it off. But where you've got the warm, lighter colors, they are the accents from the sun. And then the darker masses are on the shadow side, on the left-hand side of the tree or the shrub that's growing up out of the ditch area. And so you've got that lovely thicket. But I'm not trying to lose all of that bluish color. Some of that I need it to stay because it suggests the snow on the lower branches that are still there from the overnight snowfall. I'm putting some warmer value colors in, and I've also put the first areas of those reedy bits on the left hand side that take your eye from the left corner up through to that tree. Now I'm putting in quite a dark color, which is the shadow or the deep shadow of the ditch. Now the ditch, I'm taking off a little bit of the hardness with some damp brush and some clean water, and I've just come round further and I'm applying little darker taps of the same sort of color mixes. Every time though I come in with a darker mix, I'm actually adding more paint, less water. Therefore, there's less chance of back runs or cauliflowers or those horrible things and blooms that you often get. When you're doing that, when you're putting color on top of color, especially where the color underneath is semi-wet, not absolutely running in water, but semi-water, starting to glisten and dry out, then always use less water in your next mix and more paint. And there's less chance of it happening to cause you a back run. What I'm doing now is adding some lovely deeper blue colors. Now, in this snow, there are bits of area where the ground is still popping through, thicker bits of growth and showing some more shadows, as well as some darker areas. And I'm putting in some dark mixes, which are some lovely, I use a lot of the indigo or a lot of Payne's grey and translucent orange. That gives me that really beefy dark, because both are transparent colors and they really do create some lovely darks, warm or cool. And that's what I use. But I also use some indigo, some phthalocyan in blue as well, in some deeper shadows. Now I turn my attention to a much paler, much cooler mix, a little bit of magenta in there as well, to take that distant tree line all the way back there and give it some depth and distance. And just by putting a boundary to that snow at the top of the field, really, it does suggest a distance, and everything is starting to come together quite nicely. I put a darker value in along the immediate ground of those trees, and then I lift a little bit out, squeeze the excess water from my brush and just lifted a little bit of that out at the very top. Now I'm making a really punchy dark mix, but now is a lot more indigo in there than the orange, so that's quite a bluer mix really, but it does suggest those little bits of dirt that are in deep shadow. The snow is just created a little hole, and it's through those holes you see these darker shadows, and that's what I'm trying to create. Just the odd little tap. Don't overdo it, just watch what you're doing, see where you can see most of them in your reference and go from there. But be influenced by what you see and not what you think you see. That's always the big thing. Now the tree, this was a little bit of a decision change, because I had drawn it much closer to the tree, which it is in the reference, but I wanted that dynamic, that L-shaped composition I spoke to you about right at the beginning. Well, I wanted to keep that, so I actually moved that tree over. I suggested that blue shadow as the bit of a ditch line. In a sense, it's not quite, but actually worked quite well for that. And then I put a bit of violet in for the shadow of that that tree in the middle ground, and I lifted a little bit out here. Now that's something to bear in mind. When you get a cast shadow on something, the further away from the object that it goes, the paler it becomes. Now we're really into the very last part of this picture, and I'm mixing up some warm colors to come back into these reeds. You see I've changed to my rigger. Both brushes will do the same job, but you can create lovely lines, lovely thin dashy lines that create that old growth through the snow, the old nettles and things like that. And indeed, I'm putting on some lovely warms and dark colours to suggest old nettle leaves. Now, I'm not painting leaves, I'm just tapping on. But in my head, I'm thinking nettle leaves or something like that, and I'm just trying to put my brush down in the way that I'm thinking, if that makes any sense. But I'm thinking about what I'm trying to paint. And all I'm doing now is picked up a little bit of blue and just finishing off with some of those darker ones in the shadow there. Same idea though. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pick up a little bit of blue paint, some of that lovely ultramarine, and I'm using horizontal lines to suggest some of those very fine shadows, cast shadows from some of those reedy bits. It is just the real finish to the whole painting. And with these last bits done, all I've got to do now is come in with some gouache and put some body colour and replace some of the whiter snow against some of those blue parts that have got lost over the translation of this whole painting. So again, don't go too mad with it, just be very sparing. I put a little bit on my palette and I just put the brush into that and just tap the odd little bit of white here and there, suggesting where the light's catching a little bit of snow that's facing the right hand side, and the whole thing really just comes together. I really enjoyed this painting. I've got to say, I love painting snow. Well, that's been very evident, but I promise next one I'll change the subject matter. I hope you enjoyed it. Okay everybody, I just wanted to include a little final thought on this video, and if I like doing those, we might add them to future ones. But I just wanted to talk about how I felt about the final analysis of this. I love this warm glow of the snow, and I use it a lot. It really does bring out the warmth in the painting. It supports all the warm colours that I put into the overall look, and it also speaks to the people who look at the painting. It's not cold, it's not chilly, it's just got a lovely warm glow, and that is supported with these oranges. Now the oranges in this one are not as strong as I've used in other paintings, but they are still in evidence and they still work. The nice thing is that we have a lovely lead into our picture, and we can go all the way through the scene. I purposely put these leading shapes and forms, the darkest in the foreground, going up to this ditch area and the tree within that. You could actually bring a little bit more down in there if you wanted to. Overall, not a problem, but I like the fact that we've created this walk-in, this lead-in, all the way through to the back of the picture. Also, on top of that, I like the fact that we created this nice diamond, this nice triangular shape, which comes in a sense through there down to this area here. So we've got this supporting it here, through here to the top of the tree. Works as a great idea like that. We're below the horizon line on the below the middle line, which is something I talked about earlier. But always consider these nice ideas of composition in your painting. Quite simple: blues, warm colors, blues, warm colors and darks. It's just very, very suggestive, and there's not an awful lot of painting to be done. So I do. Okay everybody, I had a lot of fun painting that little snow scene for you, and I'm sure you got something from the process that you can take on into your next painting. And I do hope you agree that it was not only a little looser, but it was also a little quicker. And if that's the case, then I succeeded in my aims for this video. Now, with regards to the reference, I'm going to scan, or I am going to scan both the photographs that I used in the process. I'm going to put them up onto my Patreon for you to use, download, and have a go at this yourselves. Now, you do not need to be a Patreon to download them. They are there and free to do so. But while you're there, why not take a look around and look at the different tiers, see what's on offer. You may just want to get involved, and if that's the case, I'd love to welcome you on as a brand new patron. That would be fantastic. But like I said, you do not need to be a patron to download this reference and have a go. And that's the case with all my tutorials. But there is a new Facebook group that you can get involved with if you wish to. You can sign in, or you can ask to be accepted in, and you'll be admitted. But if you do any of the works, any tutorials of mine, and you do a piece of work which you would like to share, then you can post it there and showcase it on that new group. So check it out on Facebook. It's Painting with Paul Apps. Check it out, get involved, and upload your versions to any of my tutorials there. That would be fantastic. Now, if you've made it this far in the video and you've enjoyed it, please give it a big thumbs up. That would be fantastic, and it does help the channel grow. And if you're not a subscriber, you know what I'm going to say, please click the subscribe button. I've noticed that of all the people that watch my videos week in, week out, only about 20% of you are subscribers. So there's a large amount of people out there that watch my content, enjoy it, I hope, but are not subscribing. Now, it doesn't cost you anything, but it really does help the channel grow. It helps the algorithms in YouTube to identify the channel and push it out to many more people. That is a plus for me, a plus for the channel, and it allows many more people around the world to enjoy the content that I create. So, as I said, it doesn't cost you anything. Just click that bell icon as well. That tells you when I upload a new video. In the meantime, don't forget, you can also add comments under each and every video. That would be great too. I enjoy reading them. I'll always respond to them, especially if you've got ideas that you'd like to see done in a brand new video in the future. So put those down. That would be great too. In the meantime, I'm just going to say once again, Happy New Year, everybody. I catch each and every one of you in the next video next week. Take care. Stay safe wherever you are. Happy painting. Bye-bye. Hi everybody, welcome back. As I said at the start, Hi everybody, welcome back. And I do hope that you managed to get a little bit of painting done in the bits in between. I really enjoy doing these scenes, and no. Hi everybody, well, okay everybody, I enjoyed, no. Okay everybody, well, I've